Welcome back to the channel. My name's James Salvatore, and today I'm going to be talking to you about the 2019 GLC 300. But before we get into the video, please be sure to like and subscribe to the channel, as I'm an upcoming channel and I post every week new cars, old cars, pretty much everything. I do a lot of cool stuff, so better stay tuned. I'm going to start off with the reasons why you should go for a 2019 versus a 2020. First being, you're going to find great deals on a 2019 versus a 2020 because everybody's going to be going for the refreshed facelift model. You can find especially good deals if you pick one up that's a loaner. Now, a lot of people don't know this about it, but especially if you're going to lease a car, if you pick up a loaner vehicle, you could get some incredible deals on them. So the first thing you want to do is, if you're going to do that, is call every dealership in your state. Find out if they have a loaner that meets your spec, meaning that it has all the features you want, and then you tell them, give me your best numbers before you even walk in. As soon as you walk into a dealership, you've already lost the sale. I mean, you've already lost because they think that they have a sale. You have each dealership quote you out their best numbers on the vehicle, on the loaner that suits you, and sometimes you get a pretty killer deal. I mean, you could get, monthly payments as low as around, like, say, $250 less, I've even seen in some situations. That tip has helped a lot of people, and a lot of people thank me for giving them that tip. But anyways, back to the video. Regardless if it's a loaner or not, you will get a lot of good deals on these, seeing that people are going to want to go for the refreshed one. They're not going to want this one, but there really isn't a reason not to want this one other than looks. Simply because all the bare bones of the GLC are still the same in the 2020 model. You're still getting the same engine. You're still getting the same transmission. You're most likely getting the same suspension setup. So really, what's different other than a few tech gadgets? You could even still get active LED headlamps. So, it's not like you're missing out on much. You still get CarPlay in this. Yes, the screen looks outdated kind of now. I never really was a fan of the whole iPad screen. Even in my car, I don't like it. I like the new widescreen one much better. I think it fits the dash look overall much better. The digital gauge cluster on these cars always looks cool. I have an E-Class in the family, and it looks really cool at first. You're like, oh, I gotta have it. But then after you have it, you realize it does everything the standard gauge cluster does, so you really don't need it. You get over it quickly and you don't really care. So I would highly recommend going for a 2019 over a 2020, especially if you can get that deal. Now, I'm going to also go over some of the best features about the GLC overall, which will most likely carry over into the 2020 model today, as well as some of the differences between, say, all the models. So now I've driven all the models. I've driven a C-Class 4-door. I have a 2-door. I have a C-Class coupe, as well as now I've driven this kind of crossover SUV version. And I'll be telling you which C-Class model I think is the best one and why. Next, I'd like to get into a few of the features that you're definitely going to want to have if you get one of these vehicles. So standard comes power lift gate, meaning you open it, opens by itself, and you could close it by itself. That's nothing new. That's been out on vehicles for years. However, even though this has been out for a few years and it's on a lot of vehicles, Mercedes decides to make it an option where you put your leg underneath the bumper and the trunk will open. I'll explain to you why that's useful. If you're shopping and whatnot and you have something heavy and you just want to put it in the car real quick, it really comes in handy. And I have it on my C-Class coupe, and it's come in handy many times, and I highly recommend going for this option. The next must-need feature in the GLC is the Burmester audio system. If you're not somebody who just likes music on as background sound, at a low volume level, you'll definitely appreciate having a high quality stereo system. And I could say for a fact that in my C-Class, I have it. It's a very good system, and it's definitely worth the few $1,000s. So when you're optioning out your car, you want to make sure that you get the multimedia package with Apple CarPlay. Now, in my car, I got the upgraded navigation screen, which was a little bit bigger. However, it doesn't have CarPlay. And coming from an older car before that, I didn't really understand the significance of having that, or Android Auto. So I just went with one with the normal navigation system, thinking that I was getting a good system. And it is a good system. It functions well, but it's not intuitive. It's not like Apple's system that they put in the cars where, you know, you basically have your phone on the nav screen. It's a feature that I use in this car and other cars a lot, and definitely miss when I'm in my own car. So I definitely make sure that your car has it, along with the upgraded screen. As you know, standard models, they'll give you, you know, kind of a small screen, and you know, it's a little disappointing. So definitely keep that in mind when you're optioning the car. So that kind of wraps it up for features that I would say are a must need. Everything else is pretty much optional the way you like things. Now, in my car, you have a back seat. It's not very practical. You could shove people behind you, but nobody's really comfortable in that car. In the four-door sedan, it's a little bit better, but legroom still isn't good. However, when you get kind of like a crossover SUV, you're expecting there to be ample legroom for passengers in the rear. Now, I've seated myself in a comfortable position. I'm 6'1", and I'm gonna see if I fit in the rear behind myself. So, sitting behind myself, do I fit? Yes. However, I don't really have much leg room, and say if you know you have a bigger person sitting in front of you, this definitely wouldn't be enough room. So I wouldn't really say that this overall is still too practical to fit people comfortably. However, it's definitely better than the sedan version and the coupe version. Now that I've told you a little bit about the car, let's go for a drive. So my overall first impression of the car, hopping into it, is that it's very familiar to my car, seeing that it's pretty much the same interior, a few minor tweaks here and there. For the most part, it's pretty much the same, so it feels very familiar to me. However, I'm wondering how different the driving characteristics are going to be, seeing that it's, you know, a crossover and not, I wouldn't say a sports car, but definitely a sporty coupe. So, seeing that this has the same engine and transmission, there probably isn't going to be really much difference in acceleration. It's probably going to be a little bit slower, seeing that, you know, it has more weight to carry around. However, I'm really curious to see how this is going to handle. I mean, overall, if you're looking at this from the perspective of getting this as a family car, it's probably going to meet all your needs. And one thing I'll point out is this platform in general is pretty fuel efficient. In my car, I usually get around 25 miles per gallon if I'm babying it, which I think is pretty good. One thing I'd really like to point out is I really like the way the car rides. It's a lot more comfortable than my car. Seeing that you have, you know, you don't have low profile tires, you have normal tires and whatnot, and you have some travel in the suspension, it just makes for a much more comfortable ride. Now, going to my first corner, there's not minimal body roll. Corner's pretty good. I mean, I wasn't even going slower in that turn than I do normally in my car, which is actually pretty surprising. I mean, you'd think for, you know, a crossover SUV that there would be some compromises in handling, and yeah, there certainly is, but definitely not as much as I thought there would be. Mercedes has definitely done a very good job there. Overall, I would recommend the GLC to anybody who's looking for their first kind of SUV after having a car for all their life. Now, what I mean by that is, you know, if I had to go to an SUV after driving cars, I would be kind of sad, because I would miss, you know, driving spiritedly, you know, throwing the car into a corner and having some fun. You know, you miss out with that on a full-size SUV. However, with this, it's not a full-size SUV, and it feels more like a car, which is a good thing, because it gives you that practicality of having more space, not having to squeeze people into your back seats and having 4 doors, but also still, you know, having it, being able to have some fun with it. And, you know, that's important to a lot of people, and if that's important to you, well, this is a pretty good option. And if the GLC 300 isn't enough, which for some people who like to drive spiritedly, it most likely isn't, well, then you have the GLC 43 and GLC 63. However, I've driven a GLC 43, and I will say that's, you know, a fun car. I think that's just enough horsepower for this platform. I think the GLC 63 would be a little bit much. However, if you like to be a hooligan, definitely a fun option. Well, that's all for today's video. I hope you enjoyed it. Be sure to leave me a like and subscribe, and tune in every Wednesday for new videos. Thank you for watching.